Feminist is someone that fights for women's rights, equality, and yeah, basically for women.
And you are not that?
I am not that. And that's because I don't see it surface level. So if you ask a girl on TikTok what's a feminist, she'll tell you what I told you.
What do we call women that come for other women that speak up about patriarchy? The women that when they see women standing their ground and talking like, oh, no, men are this, no, we have to be this, we have to be that. And they come for them and they see them as problem. What should we call them? Because this lady, they asked her, are you a feminist? And she said no. Then she went ahead to say some other things. Let's go ahead and watch the video together. And I'll be back to share my thoughts at the end of the video.
Are you a feminist?
No, I've never been one.
What is a feminist?
Feminist is someone that fights for women's rights, equality, and yeah, basically for women.
And you are not that?
I am not that. And that's because I don't see it surface level. So if you ask a girl on TikTok what's a feminist, she'll tell you what I told you. But me, I know that it's deeper than that. So that's why I'm like, don't identify with it. And also because of the way they go about the whole, this is how we're for women. The way that you're going about it, it's already a zero for me. So the title is not enough. Just because you said you're for women and you're fighting for the equality rights of women is not enough for me to take it on. What makes me take it on is how you go about that, trying to bring equality, etc., etc., etc.
What is the deeper understanding of you and feminism and why you don't support it?
Okay, so in the beginning, I was always very sketchy about feminism because I was like, okay, I hear what they're saying, like, okay, voting, what, men didn't allow us, what.
Damn, like, what? Hey, this is an agent, must. Yes.
And I was like, okay, I see where you guys are coming from. But yeah, there was still not enough for me to be like, you know, I'm taking on that because I saw in the way that they went about it. So when I did research on feminism, because I was like, okay, I'm very unsettled with this feminism thing. Let me get deep into it. Let me not just be satisfied with we are equals for women, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So when I deep dived into it, I got to ask questions about like, okay, so the history says that women were not allowed to vote. Why was that? Like I said, if you go to Google and you're like, why were women not allowed to vote? It's going to say, they said they were stupid. And they're very emotional, so no. But if you go deeper and you go into the books, you will actually learn that, for example, the reason why women were not allowed to vote is because men were the heads of the house. So they voted on behalf of their households.
Almost like voting on behalf of your kids. It's basically the same reason kids can't vote.
You see? So women had very much influence in what their husbands voted for. So it was just like, out of all the families, one man.
To represent, almost like our politicians now.
Yes.
It's like, why don't you sit in parliament? Is it because we're stupid? No, it's because we have representatives.
Yes, we've got one person representing us and what we're believing in, etc. The other reason was that women were more into, like, they were voting more municipal and local thing, yes. Because they were in charge of the schools, the hospitals, the shops and whatnot, because women were more nurturers and whatnot. Those are the roles that they played. So anything with children, education, teaching, they were there. So they had the power there. Government at the time was force. Force meaning war, anything that had to do with violence. And because women are not, you're not going to war, you're not going to fight for the country. So why must you vote? Do you understand? So it was like, you still have influence in other areas, just not this one, because it's like saying someone in the receptionist must have a say in the finance department in a company. Why? You're not even here. Like, you're not even participating in the things that
must the receptionist be a woman? But please continue.
Sorry, I'm just making an example.
Sure. No, I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so even if it was a man, let's say whoever in that department, you can't have a say in finance because you don't know anything about finance. You're not in that department, you see. Another reason that I saw that was very important is that there was a lot of women that were against women voting because they saw it as if women start voting, then it's going to progress and more things and more, which is going to lead to things like the women were saying at that time that if we make men and women equal sexes, and I say sexes specifically because body, I'm talking about biology. If we're saying you and me are equal, it means that chivalry will die. What is chivalry? Politeness towards women, men being polite to women and say, okay, she's a woman, she can't pick up this heavy thing. I need to help her. Because now I'm saying me and you are the same thing. It means that you don't need to help me.
Yeah, cool.
Exactly. So those are the things that contributed to gender-based violence because men don't
contributed to?
Things like gender-based violence.
Damn. Did we just go there?
Yes.
No, please continue.
They were scared that things will, because if there's no chivalry, if there's no politeness towards women, it means that it's easy for you to be violent to a woman because you no longer see her as this weak, small, tiny thing that you need to protect, because at those times it was very mandatory that men needed to protect women, etc., etc. So that's why women of those times didn't want that. So I believe that we are equal, ne? But we're just not equal in the same way. You have your strengths, I have my weaknesses, I have my strengths, you have your weaknesses. Do you understand? So we're equal as in we're equally as important, but we're just not going to say the equality is not going to look the same. It's just not going to look the same. And that is okay, you see. So those are the reasons that they gave. And I was like, these things, they make sense. And even the 72 years, it took 72 years for them to actually accept women into voting. And it also goes back to race again. When they were allowed to vote, it was only white women.
Sure.
Black women were not there. If it was feminism and about women, why wasn't it just all women? And also at that time, black men were not allowed to vote because they were slaves. Do you understand? So they knew that, okay, if we say women must vote, you must also go and fetch the black man there and say that he's allowed to vote as well. And also another reason was that people that own properties were the ones that voted. Men were the ones that owned properties. They're the head of the house. They're the ones that paid the bills. You understand? So things like that, you don't own property, that's why you don't vote. You see things like that. So it was like, there's a lot of things that made sense. And I read those books and I watched a lot of documentaries, yes, of women talking about this feminism thing, and that there was even a time that they had to overrule, because a lot of women were so against this thing. They had to overrule it because the women are like, these ones, they're too comfortable. They're in their houses, enjoying their husbands, doing everything. They're taking care of kids. We need to overrule them. And I could go deeper into things like why they wanted women to come and work as well. And that's an elite thing. The elitists of those times, they needed more people to work because men were dying in wars, things like that. But I just went deep into it and I realized that that's why we're so unhappy today. That's why there's a lot of women who are like, oh, I want to be a stay-at-home wife. And that's because we were never necessarily supposed to be doing this. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that we get to work, but originally we were never supposed to be living like this. And that's why a lot of women are trying to go back in time and be like, oh, I want to be a stay-at-home girlfriend. Yeah. Now you're making things up.
Girlfriend allowance.
Girlfriend allowance, which was something that your husband would have done for you because he would have came home. Here's the money. I come from working. Now you have to make things up because you wish that you would go to a time where you didn't need to do this thing. Why? Because naturally you're not necessarily supposed to be doing these things.
Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section respectfully. I feel like if some women were not coming out to fight for women's rights, the opportunity that she even have to sit down and talk is not going to be possible. It's not going to be possible. If some women were not there fighting for women's rights, she will not be seen or heard. A lot of people came for her in our country and be like, she's a pick-me. And she did some response, which I didn't get the video. But then I have few reaction on this video. Let's go ahead and watch the videos together. And I'll be back at the end of the videos.
That interview where women are being objectified and we're being told that feminism is wrong with that interview. I can't get over all the stuff that is said there. I've been on the internet long enough for things not to shock me anymore, to move me to speak or whatever, particularly about topics regarding feminism, because I know my principles and I know where I stand. I am a feminist, for reference. But I think I am just, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we trying to achieve? Is it trying to prove a point? Is it trying to be edgy and going against the grain? What is it really? Because it's getting to a point where I'm like, was it for fame? What is it? Because wow.
To all the women in this country who say that they are against feminism, how about you pack up your stuff and go to Afghanistan? Yeah. Seriously, that place will feel like a euphoria to you, because there, feminism has been completely shut down. And there, animals have more rights than women. You will love it there. You will absolutely love it. And here's the thing. All of you so-called anti-feminism women aren't actually anti-feminism, because you are enjoying so many things that feminism fought for, including your right to just speak in public. Just just to speak. And I don't think you realize that all the rights that you have right now and are taking for granted can be stripped away tomorrow, literally tomorrow. I know most people look at countries like Afghanistan and all those other Islamic countries and think, oh no, it's always been this way. It's completely normal. But that's completely false, guys. 50 years ago, Afghanistan women were just like us. They were just as liberal as us. In fact, 50 years ago, they were like one of the most liberal countries. In the 1970s, the women in Afghanistan enjoyed significant freedoms, including access to education, employment. They could participate in public life. They were even dressed in like urban westernized fashion. Guys, this is what they used to wear. They were just like us. So how did they go from this to this? This being no right to education, no right to employment, no right to show their faces in public, no right to be in public without a male chaperone, no right to look at men that they aren't related to, no right to go to public establishments like parks and gyms, no right to speak in public. They can't be heard in public. How did this happen, guys? Their rights were chipped away slowly. In the 1990s, literally, guys, just 33 years ago, during the rise of the Taliban, that's when all of this nonsense started. Women were banned from attending schools or universities. Women were banned from working outside of the home. Women were banned from appearing in public without a burqa. Women were banned from accessing health care provided by male doctors. Then we get to 2001. Women somehow regained some rights, guys. Girls returned to school. Women re-entered the workforce. Women even participated in politics. It was great, but this was only limited to urban areas. In rural areas, it was still so strict against women. Some girls could not even go to school in rural areas. And then August 2021, where the Taliban regained control of Afghanistan, universities were segregated by gender and women were faced with restrictions on their field of studies. And then in March 2022, guys, secondary schools for girls were closed. In May 2022, a strict dress code was mandated, requiring women to wear a hijab and cover their faces in public at all times. In December 2022, women were banned for working for NGOs and international organizations. And then we get to 2023. Women were banned from parks and gyms, and female journalists and TV presenters were required to cover their faces on air. And then we get to 2024, where women was just banned from everything altogether. Firstly, women were banned from attending universities altogether. The only access a woman or a female could have is up until grade 6. After that, they don't have any access to education whatsoever. Restrictions on women's movement were intensified, requiring a male guardian to travel anywhere. They can't even get in a taxi without a male guardian. Many female professionals, including doctors and teachers, were forced out of their jobs. Women aren't allowed to even have a job or even start a business in Afghanistan anymore.
They have literally erased women. There is nothing left except that the next edict might be that women should not breathe, because women cannot get out of their homes, cannot go to the offices. This morning, one of my family members who live in Afghanistan texted me and said, I never asked you to help me leave the country because I was working. And I thought, as long as I can work, I can live here. But now I cannot work, so I'm at home. It is not even about my security situation. It's about my dreams that are shattered. Can you help me get out of the country?
And even worse, like I mentioned before, they're banned from speaking in public. They do not have the right to be heard in public because their voices were deemed too intimate. Afghan women are also not allowed to look directly at a man they're not related to by blood. There was one woman who had only 1 year left of her law degree and she could not finish it because of the sudden bans that were put on Afghanistan women. So for all of you women, especially South African women who think feminism isn't necessary, remember this: the rights you take for granted today can be stripped away tomorrow. Guys, the situation in Afghanistan is a stark reminder of how quickly freedoms can be lost. Feminism isn't just a movement. It's not just for fun so we can take pictures with our booty shorts on. It's not just that so we can wear bikinis when we go to the beach or to the pool. No, guys, it's a literal lifeline for countless women around the world. So let's not wait. Let's not wait until our rights are under threat to realize their value. Because there are women out there in the world that wish that they can go on TikTok and record a video of themselves speaking their mind.
Who is a true feminist? A true feminist wants women to be treated just as men are, with the same salary, respect, rights, and education as men. Feminism isn't just about human rights, it's also about human potential. It's not just female that can be a feminist, male can also be a feminist. So I don't get it why some women will come for women that are feminists. So is it that you don't want to have the same, you don't want to be treated just as men are treated in society, and you want men to have higher salary than you, higher respect than you, just because you are a woman? Well, I agree with the last creator that said that if she wants to come for feminist women, she should just move to Afghanistan. That's just it. That's just it. Because there, they just want to silence women there. In fact, they've silenced them. We've talked about it. We've made a video about it. Have they silenced Afghan women over there? The things that they are doing to women over there, they are not doing it to their men. They are not doing it to their men. And it's just so sad the way society treats women. Just because you're a woman, the way society treats women. See, in part of the world that I am, some restaurants where you walk in, so far you're a woman, the way they disrespect you. If I walk in, probably not just me, maybe me and my friend, we walk into the restaurant, we are being treated as if we're prostitutes. We're looking for money. We cannot afford whatever food we came there to buy. But let me walk in with a man. I'm treated with respect just because I am with a man. The way society see women is just so crazy, because they see us as we should not have rights to anything. And to see some women come out to clap for those things, I don't understand. Is it that you like the way it is? Is it like you like when you walk into a place and they are disrespecting the way they disrespect? See, I'm not even joking. This is real. There are some restaurants that you walk in, they disrespect you. The fact that you're alone, or you're with girls, they see you as you. In fact, they see the way they see you cannot afford anything. And the thing is that the way women are working so hard now, some women are way, way richer than these men that they are expecting. They can afford way than what these men are even bringing to the table. So it's just so crazy when some women come and start saying, these feminist women, that they want equality, they want that. If some women do not fight for the rights, you think you'll be there sitting down doing podcasts or doing an interview? You don't have a say. You're not going to have a say. And if you know that you don't want to go to Afghanistan and go and practice, go there. There you know that, okay, that's exactly what you want, if that makes sense. What is your take on this video? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, respectfully. And thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your girl, Maria Davids. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.